Have you ever killed anybody?
No, thank God. My children asked me that. And I told them very proudly that I have never taken any action that resulted in the death of another human being.
There's one kind of half exception.
And I think about this all the time. In 1993, I guess it was, I was sitting in the morning meeting. I told you earlier that every unit meets every day at 9 o'clock, and you just talk about what happened in the country that you cover overnight. I was in the morning meeting, and the secretary came in, and she said, John, General Powell is on the phone for you. Call him Powell. I said, General Powell? How does he know who I am? And she
said, I don't know, but he asked for you by name.
My boss is like, well, go answer the phone. So I went to my desk, and I said, good morning, General Powell. This is John Kiriakou. And he says,
John, if the Iraqis were going to kill the president, who would actually be in charge of that operation?
And I said, well, if you're talking about the attempt to kill President Bush, George H.W. Bush, he had been visiting Kuwait. I said, Kuwait operations are run from the Iraqi intelligence services Basra station. But Basra station is headed by Sabr Abdulaziz Adori, the director of the Iraqi intelligence service.
He says, where does he sit?
I said, Baghdad.
Where exactly in Baghdad?
I said, if you hold on a second, I'll look up the address. So I looked it up. I gave him the address. He said,
thank you. And he hangs up the phone.
I go back in the meeting. They were like, what do you want? I said, he wanted to know about Sabr Adori and the attempt to kill President Bush. I'm like, okay.
8 hours later, we fired 47 cruise missiles into Iraqi intelligence service headquarters.
But by then it was the middle of the night in Baghdad.
And we killed the janitor.
6 weeks later, a colleague comes into my office and he says, hey, you got a response from the agency to your letter. I said, I didn't see any response from the agency. I just checked my mail an hour ago. And he said,
they classified it top secret. It's down in the vault.
I said, top secret? I said, well, what did it say?
And he says, it says go
fuck yourself.
First day, 20 minutes after the cop warned me about people coming into my room unannounced, these two guys just walk in boldly, just walk in. I jump up, I put my fists up, I go,
what do you want?
One of them has a swastika on his neck. It took up his entire neck. It came up onto his face. The other one had fuck you tattooed on his eyelids. So I go, what do you want? And the swastika guy says, you the new guy? I said, yeah, so? And he says,
you a fag?
I said, no, I'm not a fag. He said, you a rat? I said, no, I didn't have anybody else in my case. I'm not a rat. And he says, you a chomo?
I go, I don't know what that word means.
He goes,
chomo, child molester.
I said, no, I'm not a child molester. And he goes, okay, you could sit with the Aryans in the cafeteria. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm with the
Aryans now.
Grand.
I think we will go around assuming that our devices are secure.
They're not secure at all. At all. It's not just, NSA, CIA, FBI you have to worry about. It's the British, the French, the Germans, the Canadians, the Australians, the New Zealanders, the Russians, the Chinese, the Israelis, the Iranians. I mean, everybody has these capabilities.
Capabilities to do what?
To intercept communications. They can take control of your smart TV remotely, and they can make the speaker turn into a microphone. So even though the TV is off, it can still hear everything that's being said in the room and broadcast back to the CIA.
Can they do that with
Ingenious.
devices?
They could do that. When I first got hired, they were able to do that. They said, well, before we start, just wanted to ask you, just read your book. It was great. I loved it. Hey, what about this that you said in your book? And I was like, yeah, okay. Yeah, it was a cool story. What about this other thing? Yeah, I had fun. I said, it was kind of hard. It took me 9 months to write the book, 22 months to get it cleared. Oh, yeah, you got it cleared. Yeah, of course I got it cleared. 22 months it took me to get it cleared. I'm thinking, what an odd question. Then they started asking me about something called the Sam Adams Project. And I said, I'm sorry, I don't know what that means. And then the bad cop of the two says,
we know you've been giving information to the Guantanamo defense attorneys. I said, what are you talking about?
And then I said, wait a minute. Are you investigating me? And they said,
yeah, and we're raiding your house right now as we speak.
And I said, thank God, I said, I want to speak to my attorney right now. That was the only reason that they didn't arrest me. And one of the things that I learned, and this became painfully evident when they started arresting January 6 people, was the FBI in Washington likes to make its arrests on Thursdays because there are no federal arraignments on Friday. So you're in the D.C. jail.
Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, getting the shit beaten out of you.
And then they arraign you on Monday.